Hi, and welcome to the Legroom podcast. The purpose of the podcast is to engage in meaningful and interesting conversations with professionals who are excelling in their field of work. We do so by initiating dialogues and having conversations about new and upcoming avenues of work, which some might even consider as unconventional. The objective of the conversation is to widen the viewer's perspectives about careers and the journeys which people take to find what they love doing.
Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of the Legroom podcast. Today we have with us Mr. Venkatesh Kashelikar. Mr. Venkatesh Kashelikar is a 5-time Ironman in 5 different continents. For those who don't know, Ironman is an elite race which comprises of 3 sports, which is swimming, cycling and running. So it's basically a triathlon. He has been running for quite some time now, and on the side he also has his own factory, his business where they manufacture gensets. So tell me, how are you?
I'm good.
What's been going on?
Life is just back from Diwali holidays. Today we reopened. And we are basically sales and service dealers for Greaves Cotton Limited.
Okay. Nice.
And we don't have a factory, but we have a very good service setup at Shindewadi. And my office is at Kothurud.
Okay, nice. So tell me about triathlons. How do they work? How did you get into triathlons?
So basically, I had a manufacturing business earlier till 2011. So till that time, I was super busy with work because we used to manufacture gensets, what you said, but we used to do it till 2011.
Okay.
And then it was a partnership business. We separated in 2011. And 2012, I started my own company, Navitas Gensets, me and my younger brother.
Okay.
But till when I was into manufacturing, I was so busy with work. There was extensive traveling, and I was like not taking care of my health at all. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had a nice pot belly or beer belly, you can say. You need to entertain customers. So it was not a very healthy sign. And I was like around, I'm 49 now.
Okay.
So that time 2011, I was, you minus those many years.
Okay.
So that was the time I thought like I should get into fitness. So fitness, as you said, triathlon is a long distance endurance sport. But I started with running. So 2012, earlier I did one Everest Annapurna base camp.
Okay.
So that was an experience where I went into hiking and all that stuff. So a friend of mine who stays in the US, he said like, he used to run marathons.
Okay.
He said, Venky, why don't you start running? So 2012 was the first time I started with short distances. Then I did my first half marathon. That was a Pune marathon.
Okay.
That I did in 2012. So gradually I used to keep running. I was enjoying running. I did Standard Chartered. That time now it is Tata Mumbai Marathon. Okay. That time it used to be Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon.
Okay.
So I participated in that. Then 2000.
You did the full marathon?
No, I did a half marathon first.
Okay.
Then I did a full marathon, Tata Mumbai Marathon in 2015.
Okay.
And in 2016, I was enjoying doing the full marathon. So then I went to Amsterdam, and then I did the Amsterdam full marathon.
Wow.
So it was a kind of thing from starting from like 5K, 10K to running a 21, then a 42 kilometer. But at the same time, the triathlon thing was initially, I won't say it was catching up. There was Dr. Kaustubh Radkar, who was that time, I think, 20 or 19 times Ironman. So he was there, who came from US to India. Then at that time, the triathlon bug was catching up in India. So first I decided, like, because I love swimming.
Okay.
And swimming is one thing which I learned very late. I learned when I was 21 or 22. And then I said, like, let's start. So there was one small triathlon in Bhor in 2017.
Okay.
So I'll tell you about triathlon. So there are various distances. So Ironman is a franchise. It is a company which organizes triathlons all over the world.
Okay.
So basically, the distances in a triathlon is a sprint is the shortest, followed by Olympic. So Olympic distance is a distance which is also part of all Summer Olympics.
Okay.
So it is an event where you swim first 1.5 kilometers, then you ride for 40 kilometers, and then you run 10 kilometers.
Okay.
So this is the Olympic distance.
All right.
Then is the half Ironman distance or half, that is Ironman, as I said, they have certain distances. So half Ironman distance comprises of 1.9 swim, followed by a half marathon, which is 21.2 kilometers, followed by 90 kilometers of cycling.
Okay.
Yeah, and then is the full Ironman distance. So that is 3.8 kilometers swimming, followed by 180 kilometers of cycling, followed by 42.2 full marathon. Yeah, and half is 21.1.
Okay. So this is the entire...
This is the entire distance.
How long does that take?
Yeah, so Ironman is supposed to be the toughest one-day sport.
1 day. Okay.
One-day sport, because all these things, because people might think that how many days you can do this.
Yeah.
So it is not like that, because
It's a 1 day.
so Bombay-Pune distance is 150 kilometers. So you ride 180 kilometers.
Okay.
First you swim 3.8 kilometers. So it depends from city to city. So there are cutoffs. So there are intermittent cutoffs. There are complete distance cutoff for all three events. So usually the cutoff is depending on the city. So it is either 17 hours, 16 hours, or very few cities they have 15 hours. Like for example, Frankfurt, if I'm not wrong, has a cutoff of 15 hours.
Okay.
So depending on the city rules, the cutoffs are set. So now ideally for swim, the cutoff is 2 hour 20 minutes. For swim and bike, it's 10 hour 30 minutes. And for the entire distance, it is 17 hours.
Okay.
And in few places, the time reduces and it is, the minimum is 15 hours. But most of the cutoffs are 17 hours. So in 17 hours, even the transition thing also you have to do, because you swim in an open water.
Yeah.
You don't swim in a swimming pool. So either you swim in a river or in an ocean or in a lake, and then you ride. It is also all outdoor. Maybe you're riding along the ocean where you get headwinds, crosswinds, and then you do a 42-kilometer run. So elevations are also there on the bike course.
Wow. Oh, there is a gradient.
Yeah. So it depends from where the race is happening.
Where it's happening.
Yeah.
This transition thing, I've always found it very interesting, because they're done with their particular leg of the activity and then they step out of the lake and they're still so focused. They know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like a pit stop in F1 or something where, they exactly time how much time to spend.
So you're talking about professional athletes. So ideally the professional athletes, it takes less than a minute or minute and a half to get out of transition.
Okay.
Because the thing is that if you are swimming in where the water temperature is below 18 degrees, 18 degrees centigrade, then you need to wear a wetsuit.
Right.
So ideally what you do, you wear a tri-suit, and on top of that you wear a wetsuit. So you come out of water, either there are wetsuit strippers who help you to take out your wetsuit. You take off the wetsuit, then, so normally the transition again depends from where you're racing. Somewhere the transition would be like 500 meters, somewhere there's a kilometer distance. So you have to come out of water, you have to rush. So if the transition distance is far, then the transition period takes long. Then you have to take off your wetsuit if it's a wetsuit legal swim. Then you have to put on your cycling shoes, cleats, which are cleats where your leg get attached to the pedals. And then you get out of transition.
Okay.
Then you come out of transition, you have to take out your cycling shoes and wear your running shoes. So all these things are like very important, like how you do the transition. So you have to be very quick, you have to change very fast, and then move on. Wear your helmet. A lot of rules, like once you're going out of, the helmet has to be there on your head. Then you have to rack your cycle back in its own place. You can't just
leave it. You
just leave it anywhere. So you have a number and you have to rack it back at the same place. So these are very important things which you should know. You should practice the transition before.
Yeah. So when it comes to a triathlon, at least, how much of it is competing with yourself rather than competing with others? I'm not talking about a very professional level, but as you mentioned, you recreationally run and compete.
So see, in a triathlon, as I told you, like how these distances are. So I was telling you about my journey. So I started, I did my first at Bhor in 2017, Olympic distance. Then I did one EA Tri Sports in, I think it was in Goa.
Okay.
I did one, again, Olympic distance. So in 2018, when I did two Olympic distances, then I said I can do a higher distance.
Okay.
So then in 2018, I registered for Dubai Half Ironman.
Okay.
So that was 2018. And then after doing a half Ironman, I had registered for a Hamburg full Ironman. So it is a process. You should be ready with training because Olympic distance requires comparatively less training.
Right.
A half Ironman distance requires you to train more, and a full, your distance is double than a half. You have to train much, much more. So you just can't say, wake up one morning and say, tomorrow I'm going to do a full Ironman or half Ironman. It's a process. You need to train. And now coming to your question about, I'll always say that Ironman is an individual sport.
Yeah.
So there are two categories in Ironman. One are professional athletes, and other is age group athlete. So it is on your age group. So if now I'm 49, so I'll be in 45 to 50 age group.
Okay.
So there are, as per the age, there are different categories, 20 to 25, and different. It's here and there. So 20, 25, and so we are all age group athletes. So in India, to be very honest, it's not easy to train. It's not very safe to ride on the roads. There's so much pollution. We don't have big swimming pool. Like you have to go to either Turk Tank, which has a 50-meter pool.
Right.
Or maybe like I'm a member of PYC club, so I go in a 25-meter pool because I find it convenient to go there and swim because people are less. So there are so many constraints to train in India. So I would say it's an individual sport, and with every race, you should try and improve your timing. So you can't be competing with someone else.
Yes,
you will be competing
with yourself.
With yourself and try and improve your timing with each race.
So there was this guy, what was his name? Sanders. What's his first?
Lionel Sanders, yeah.
Correct. So Lionel Sanders says that after every race he runs, he makes notes, of what the race was, then who all to look out for, then makes notes about where he fell short. So it sounds like a very technical kind of feedback system which he's laid out for himself to understand his own performance. And he says that he measures how good a season is depending on how many notebooks he's filled up. So in your experience, is this true where you have to keep analyzing yourself and keep making these?
No, I'll tell you. See, for example, Lionel Sanders or Jan Frodeno or Sebastian Kinley or Patrick Lange, all these are pro athletes.
Right,
even in women like Lucy Charles Barclay or you name everyone, they are all pro athletes, okay? Daniela Reef. So these athletes, as I told you, they are elite athletes and they are professionals.
Yeah.
So the difference is we are recreational athletes or amateur athletes and they are professional athletes. So if Lionel Sanders says that he makes notes because they are so fast and like in the distance, for example, like I have my fastest Ironman timing is around 14 and a half hours.
Okay, wow.
And these guys just finish in half the time.
Okay.
So you can understand. And when they finish, first, second, third, the timing difference is hardly in few minutes. In 7.5 hours, it's hardly in 2-3 minutes here and there.
Yeah.
The first, second, and third, and they get prize money for it. So they are pros. They need to make all these notes. They need to understand the hydration. For that matter, we also have to do that. We need to understand hydration, nutrition. So as I told you earlier, in our case, we with experience with doing your first, second, third, fourth Ironman, I would say thing is that you have to improve yourself. Where you made a mistake in your first Ironman, what went wrong with your hydration, so we make notes for those things.
For those things, yeah.
So what hydration has to be there, what nutrition has to be there. Because a small mistake of not taking one salt tablet at 45 minutes or missing out taking a salt tablet can lead into getting a cramp.
Yeah.
So once you get a cramp, you lose time. You need to get off your bike. You need to wait aside. And then once you stop cramping, then you again start riding. So you waste your time.
You can rejoin.
Yeah, you can again. So as I told you, there's an individual cutoff. Okay. So as long as you finish in that cutoff, it's fine.
Achha.
If you are feeling tired, you can also rest. And also the transition time is a part of it. So all put together, so swim and bike has to be finished in 10.5 hours. And the whole event has to be finished in say 17 hours.
Right.
So here you have to, as amateur athletes or recreational athletes, I would say that we have to improve by correcting what mistakes we did in an earlier race. So these are very important things. And try and improve your own timing.
Yeah.
But pro athletes is a different ballgame altogether.
Different. Yeah, makes sense. So when you got into Ironman, you said you were most comfortable with running?
No, I started with running.
Okay.
But if you ask me what I enjoy doing more is cycling and swimming.
Oh, you like those more?
Yeah. So cycling, I really enjoy doing it, but you don't have an option. So, and all three, the sequence cannot be changed. So if you,
Swimming, cycling, and then
Yeah,
running
yeah,
in
yeah,
the end.
yeah.
Okay.
so if you ask me why like this, so reason is that swimming, you have to be fresh.
Yeah.
Because if you do it last when you are tired,
Yeah, it's
so you're swimming in an ocean or you're swimming in a lake,
Yeah.
there is no bottom. You're not swimming in a 3-meter swimming pool.
right.
So that's the reason you need to
That's-
swim.
that's- oh,
that's the
that's
reason you
why.
need to swim first because you are fresh. You just get into the water when you're fresh. When you're cycling, you can just, if you're tired, you can just get off your bike. If you're running, you can walk. But in swimming, you can't do anything other than that.
Just sit around.
So
Makes sense.
that's the reason this has a specific swim, bike, and run
Order.
order.
Wow. So, when you're competing, as you mentioned, cramps, right? So, how, in an Ironman, at least in a triathlon, sorry, when y'all are in the heat of the moment, y'all are either swimming or on a bicycle or running, when you get a cramp, do you take separate training for injury prevention also, or do you know, or are there physiotherapists available who can help you out?
In Ironman, there are medical tents
Okay.
at different, near to a aid station or in the whole distance, there are 2-3 medical tents. So basically, see, for example, if you get a cramp, the thing is that something has gone wrong with your hydration.
Cramps.
When you get cramps,
Okay.
because on a race, there are like every 20 kilometers, there is an aid station where you can pick up electrolytes on the bike. So you need to keep sipping water.
Okay.
The distance is long,
Yeah.
So you can't be like, if the weather is very cool, oh, I'm feeling so nice. You can't, because you never know when the cramp is going to hit you. So you have to be hydrating. You need to be taking your salt tablets. You need to be taking your electrolytes. So this is the key. So in case you cramp, a simple thing is just get off your bike, let the cramp ease down, again mount on the bike and start moving.
Yeah.
Unless you fall off your bike and you have because it's a sport where you're riding on roads.
Yeah.
So there is a probability that you might get a puncture or you might. So I had a friend whose aero bar just went down.
What's an aero bar?
Aero bar is so in a bicycle there are 2 types of bike. One is a road bike, and other is a TT bike, time trial bike.
Time trial.
Time trial TT bike.
Okay.
So most of the athletes worldwide, they use a TT bike. Or in India,
The one where you lean down.
yeah, you lean down, so you are more aerodynamic. As you go down, there is wind resistance.
Air basically goes above.
So it goes above your head, less resistance, so you move faster. So in India, most of the people, they start with the road bike because it's very not so safe to be riding outside. You have to be very careful because a truck is passing next to you. You never know. So most of the people, they go initially for a road bike and then they put aero bars.
Okay.
So aero bars you can fit on a road bike, which is not as good as aerodynamic as a TT bike, but still it is better just riding without aero bars in 180 kilometer distance. So in case that a friend of mine, his aero bar just went down, which are clip-on aero bars.
Okay.
So he was lucky he didn't fall badly. But there can be injuries there, then you just have to go to a medical tent, and if you're not fractured your bone or something, then you can just get your dressing done and then again go back riding.
Yeah, that's too intense. So what have you learned about, pushing your limits here? Because obviously here you have to put your body through a certain amount of pain, and you need to learn how to ignore the pain also at some points, I believe. But when it comes to pushing yourself to the extreme limit, how do you find your limit? Because the minute you cross it, you're going to get an injury. So that line dividing
So yeah, I would say first and foremost is your training.
Yeah.
So the training is the key.
Mm-hmm.
If you are underprepared, if you are not trained well, if you are not putting those miles on your bike, on your run, on your swim, then you are not going to cross the line.
Right.
So most important thing is training. And training, if you are trained well, then you know your limit.
Yeah.
So then, for example, if I trained well and I know that I'm going to finish my race in 14 and a half hours, and then I just say, no, 14 and a half hours, all good athletes, better, younger athletes or stronger athletes are finishing it in 13 hours or 13 and a half hours. and then I say, like, oh, I'm going to push on my bike, I'm going to go all out on my bike, then you'll burn out. Then during the run, maybe you will just walk throughout your run. So it won't help you. You might get, as you said, you might get injured. So you should know what is the realistic timing in which you're going to finish the race.
Yeah.
And accordingly, you are going to plan your race. For that, first thing is your training, which goes in before doing the race. And then in the race, if you have a coach, the coach will guide you and tell you what timing you should be doing it in. And you have to stick to it. You can't just say, no, I'm going to go all out on cycling, and then there are chances of injuries. So you should know where your limit is, and you have to work towards it to finish the race.
You also need to decide beforehand how much energy to actually put into each segment, right? Or,
So
for example, if for you running is the most strongest compared to the other two, then you would want to save the maximum amount of energy for running so that you can get a better advantage.
Yeah, so that's what I will see. In an Ironman, even you are a very good runner,
Yeah.
but you are going to run after doing a 3.8 kilometer swim, after doing 180 kilometer of bike. So you should know how to conserve your energy. That's what I said earlier. If you are going to go all out on bike and burn out, then even a good runner is going to get cramps during his run. Or again, the technical part in this sport, I would say, is the hydration, the nutrition. These are keys.
Right.
You should take gels, you should take salt tablets. All these things are very, very important. So, and you should be able to predict your time. You can't go all out. Even a strong runner, he knows his limit.
Yeah.
So he might go little slow on his bike and conserve the energy for his run.
Yeah. That planning.
Yeah, that planning is very important.
Very important. So, one thing which is very interesting is considering that triathlon is an individual sport, there is a lot of mental endurance also which you require to push yourself to complete each leg of the race, whether it be swimming, cycling or running. So what is the mindset like when you're about to start the race or the day of the race? How do you prepare yourself mentally?
It's a very nice question. So when you're going for an Ironman, usually all these races, so Ironman in India, it has started like 3-4 years back, and it is only a half Ironman which happens in Goa.
Okay.
But most of these races are overseas. Like I am doing, as you introduced me, doing 5 full Ironmans across 5 continents. So I did my first race in 2018 in Hamburg. In 2019, I did Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
Okay.
That was Africa continent. Then third, I did at Lake Taupo, New Zealand.
Okay, wow.
So that is Australia, New Zealand. Then fourth race, I did at Cozumel in Mexico. So very interesting. I did it in 2021. So that was just after COVID.
COVID, yeah.
And this one, the New Zealand one, I did just before COVID.
Oh, so you had that.
And like I was very lucky that we came to India. We landed, I think, on 9th or 10th, and 11th or 12th, the airports were closed.
March.
Yeah, so that was the other one, the Mexico one. The Cozumel one was in North America. And then last year I did at Kazakhstan,
Wow.
Nur Sultan. So I had done races across different continents. So basically, to answer your question, so when you're going for Ironman, for example, your race is on Sunday, ideally you should be arriving in the town where you're racing by Tuesday or by Wednesday. Okay. So for example, when I went to Mexico, I flew from Mumbai to Amsterdam to which was the place? Amsterdam to Cancun.
Okay.
And from Cancun, I had to take a ferry because Cozumel is an island. So it took me more than 40 hours after I started from Pune.
Oh.
Pune, Mumbai,
Mumbai.
and then travel, and then reaching Cozumel was a long journey. So basically you need to reach there in time, because again you need to get acclimatized, because there is a time zone difference.
Right.
So if you go to Mexico, it's almost like more than 12-hour, 13-hour time zone difference. So you need to acclimatize there, you need to get your sleep cycle well. And before the race start, those 2-3 days are very crucial. So what we ideally do is that when we go there, we get acclimatized to the weather, to the condition, because Pune weather is different, Mexico, Cozumel weather is different.
Right.
So you need to get acclimatized to that weather.
Mm-hmm.
Then, for example, Port Elizabeth, it's very cold, very windy. So you need to do a practice swim.
Oh.
Every race, you need to go at least 4 or 5 days in advance, do a practice swim, check your bike, because in Ironman, a very interesting thing, if to tell your viewers, is that for any triathlon, you have to carry your own bike with you.
Oh.
So you carry it in a bike bag, then you need to dismantle it in the hotel, you have to reassemble it. So you need to check your bike once you reach there. So you need to do a ride once you go to that destination. Swim is very, very important, because in India, in Pune, we are swimming at Tirk Tank or PYC or Solaris or any other local swimming pool. But there you are swimming in ocean or in river. So you need to get acclimatized there. So it's very, very important to reach 4 or 5 days in advance.
Yeah.
Once you are done this practice swim, once you are done your practice ride, maybe a practice run, then I think you are ready for the race. So before going into the race, those 3-4 days also, your hydration, nutrition is very, very important. You should be eating right food. You should be in that zone, because you have a long day ahead. So before getting into the race, the very, very important thing is to be in the right zone. You need to sleep early.
Yeah.
Go to bed, because the race starts at 5:36 in the morning. So ideally you wake up at 3 in the morning. Then again you have an early morning 3:30, 4 a.m. breakfast. So, and when going into the race, as you asked me, like, what's your mindset? Mindset is you have to remain very, very cool. The most important thing which I always tell my other friends who started racing after me is that, see, there are 3 things: swim, bike and run. So when you finish all these 3 things, you become an Ironman.
Yeah.
So what I tell them, when you're swimming, or what I personally do, I only and only focus about swimming. So it's a mass start, or they leave people at like 5 seconds, 10 people go. So there are a lot of chances that a swimmer next to you might hit you. Your cap might go off. He might kick you. If it's a breaststroke swimmer, he might kick you. So you have to focus. You have to be very active. You have to see how you are swimming. And once the people disperse, then maybe you are comfortable, and you have to only focus one at a time. That is swim. While swimming, you have to swim. Once you come out of the water, just be happy, have a smiling face, rush towards your bike, sit on your bike. When you are riding, just focus on your bike.
Yeah.
You can't think, no, I'm going to run after this. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just think of your bike.
One
Pray to
step
God
at a
my
time.
tire doesn't get punctured. Because again, there is a probability your tire might get punctured. So you should know how to take off the puncture. There is always a help on the course. But if the help takes time to come, because it's a 180 kilometer distance, so maybe there are 45 kilometer 2 loops, 45. So maybe the aid, the mechanic might take 20 minutes to come or 30 minutes to come. So you should know how to take off the puncture. So you should be prepared for that.
Do you fix the puncture, or do you just replace the tire?
Normally we replace the tires.
Okay. So
We
you have to
carry a
carry
spare,
this-
not tire, sorry, we replace the tube.
Acha, the tube.
So we carry a spare tube on our bike.
Okay.
So we replace the tube. So if a mechanic comes, you're sorted.
Okay.
But that's the reason while cycling, you should pray to God. Hope my tire doesn't get punctured. I don't fall. I don't meet with an accident. Or there are also rules, like there is a drafting rule in a bike. So you need to keep certain distance from the second rider. Once you're overtaking him, you just have to overtake him. You just can't draft behind him. So drafting is like your wheel is behind his wheel.
Okay.
So you can't do that. So you get a penalty.
Wait, no. You can't keep your tire behind
Someone else's tire. That is called drafting.
while riding.
While riding.
So how do
you
you
have
keep
to
a
maintain a
cycle?
6 meter distance.
But then how do you overtake?
So that's what I said. You have to maintain a 6 meter distance. And once you start overtaking, you complete overtaking and move ahead.
Okay.
So you can't keep racing with him.
Okay. So close.
So there are referees on the course.
Okay.
So you might get a penalty. A penalty might be you have to stop in the tent for 5-minute penalty.
Oh.
And if you do violations, like there are also, for example, you eat a banana and you have to throw the leaf outside. So you have to be very careful. Where do you throw it? You eat a gel. You can't just throw that wrapper anywhere. You need to throw it only in that zone. They have a litter zone. So it's a technical sport. So while cycling also, you have to think that I am not going to get a penalty. I'm not going to fall off my bike. My tire is not going to get punctured. And then once you finish your bike, my hydration nutrition has to be very good because that is the longest distance in all three, because 3.8, 180 is the longest distance of all three things. So you had to be focused on your cycling. And once you get off your bike, I always say, then you have to be dancing balle balle and say that I'm going to be an Ironman. Because that 42 kilometer distance, you can run, walk, just enjoy if it's your first race.
Okay.
And just think of the finish line, crossing the mat.
Yeah.
And when the announcer is saying, hey, Venkatesh, you are an Ironman.
Wow.
So you wait for it. You just enjoy the run. Because in the run, there is a very less probability that you're going to, unless your body fails.
Yeah.
I mean, you go up, then it's a different story. Otherwise, you're going to finish the race.
Damn.
So your mindset has to be like that.
Yeah.
You have to be very focused one at a time. And post race, just enjoy.
Just advice. Did you train yourself or did you have a coach?
Yeah, so my first race I did 70.3 Goa.
Okay.
So I did it on my own. I had some plans from the internet and I did on my own.
Okay.
And post that, I was training with Kaustubh Radkar.
Okay.
So I was taking plans from him. And they were quite structured plans. And for all my next races, I took plans from Kaustubh.
Okay. Yeah, because when you think of it, just cycling, say, 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers for exercise purposes, it seems like nothing when you compare it to this.
Yes.
When it's in the middle of two extremely strenuous activities, which is swimming and running as well. Wow. So, how difficult is it to push so here you're actually stressing your cardiovascular system, which is extremely important, and even your muscles, right? So, when it comes to practicing for an Ironman, how much time do you need to dedicate to it? Now, this is from a perspective of someone who's just trying to start.
So, see, ideally, as I told you, it's a process. You
Yes.
need to, for a person who is starting, he needs to be a good swimmer. If he's learning swimming, because swimming a 50 meter or 100 meter or 200 meters is a different thing. Here, at least for a half Ironman, maybe 1.9 kilometer distance. So you should be very good with your swimming. If you are learning it, then you have to improve on your swimming because there's a cut-off time. Okay. Second thing regarding, so the key thing is training. And here, it's an endurance sport, so your heart rate is going up. So very important. For me personally, when I train, I check my heart rate. So heart rate is the key. So when you are even running, so what is your heart rate during your running? So there are different type of training. So ideally, like you need to train 6 days a week.
Okay.
For anyone who is starting, he has to train 6 days a week. So in that, maybe for example, Monday is our rest day. Tuesday we do speed workouts in running or hill repeats in running. So this is ideally a Tuesday workout. Wednesday, it will be maybe a swim or a cycle, a short cycle, maybe a 1 hour cycle or 1 hour 30-minute cycle. Thursday will be a tempo run. At least 1 day or 2 days you should also do a strength training. So you need to give at least 1.5 hours every day from Monday to say Friday, from Tuesday to Friday. So Monday usually is a rest day. Okay. And on weekends, the distances are more.
Okay.
So weekends, you do a 15 kilometer run, a 20 kilometer run, or a Saturday, you might do a 50 ride, a 60 ride, a 90 ride, depending how you're progressing towards your race. So once you start getting closer to the race, your mileage increases. Then last 10-15 days is a taper down, where you don't do much. You just keep maintaining the tempo. So
is this training for all three sports on every day?
Yes. Not every. So in a week, every day you do different things.
So you focus on one.
So as I told you, Tuesday maybe you'll be doing a run.
Right.
Wednesday you might do a bike and swim.
Wow, okay.
Thursday again you do a run. Friday you do a swim. Saturday you do a brick workout. So brick workout is you run and then you bike and then you run. So you finish your cycling and you start running. So for example, like last Saturday I did a brick workout. So I did a 50 kilometer ride. I got off my bike, I kept my bike, and then I did a 5K run.
Okay.
So your muscles need to get used to it. because cycling uses different set of muscles, running uses a different set of muscles.
Correct.
So that brick activity is also very important.
Very important. Nice. So there are certain elite triathletes who I was listening to their interviews, and at least a few of them, they had this one turning point in their lives where they were kind of aspiring to be triathletes, but none of them planned to do it. The biggest example is Lionel Sanders, who used to run back in high school, but then he went into a dark patch of his life where he was into drugs, he was addicted to alcohol and everything. And he used to keep himself locked in his basement, he used to say. And then one fine day, it just clicked, something clicked, and he decided to change his life, like take a 360-degree turn. And I've observed this with even uncles who are my friends' fathers or whatever. What I've seen is that usually at the age of 50s or something, they face some kind of a health issue. Usually it's a heart attack. And then they immediately, just turn around and then they just reiterate their entire routine. And then one of them is now running marathons. So what was that major decision for you which told you that, no, I shouldn't just do one, which is running, cycling or swimming, I want to do all three? What was that? What led to
So
that?
there are 2-3 questions in one, I would say.
Yeah.
So for example, I will tell you, like Lionel Sanders, for example, he's a pro athlete.
Yeah,
But I will tell you, like as I raced all across the world, I have also interacted with a lot of Europeans or Americans. So there, the case is different. The lifestyle, they go into depression, they are drugs, they abuse with drugs. And for them, once there can be any trigger point where they want to change their lifestyle. As you gave an example of Lionel Sanders, I know personally few people there who changed completely after going into the sport. It was just a transformation.
Yeah.
In India, if you ask me, see, in our country, it is like for example, as I told you, my father, when he was 50, I never seen my father work out.
Yeah.
So this trend has totally changed in India. So now a lot of marathons started happening. Like 25 years back, I don't remember marathon happening. I remember only the Pune Marathon, which was there for quite some time. But apart from that, there was no culture of fitness or anything as such. So in India, what happens ideally, like 35, 40, you are running behind making money. You need to make money, take care of your family, take care of your kids. Then maybe at an age after 35, 40, your kids are also grown up.
Yeah.
Then at that time, there is something, it triggers and you say, no, I want to get into fitness.
Yeah.
So this trend has also started catching up in India. So then you start with running. First ideal thing what people do is to run. But now the Ironman or triathlon culture is catching up big time. So when I did in 2016 or 17, when I started doing triathlons, that time there were not many of us who were doing it. I hardly knew few people who were doing triathlons. Now the number has gone 5 times, 10 times.
Yeah.
For me then, as I said, like I started in 2012 after my new company I started, separated from my partners. That time I thought it was a time I should get into fitness. I was getting a nice belly and I was very chubby. If you see my pictures in 2011, you will say, you won't believe that this is my, I'll show you one video after this podcast.
Please, yes.
Yeah. So you will not believe like this is, oh Venkatesh, is this you? You'll ask me. So that was the thing when it triggers. Then I started running. Then I told you like I was not enjoying only running. I liked swimming and cycling.
Yes,
so I took all these 3 sports. Nice. But now people start running. But now as a lot of options have opened up, a lot of people are doing it. So there is also a thing like, oh, my friend is doing. So let me also get into it.
Yeah.
So a lot of peer pressure you can say.
That
or
helps, but
it helps.
It helps.
I know a lot of people who were into running 2 years back and they're done Ironmans now. It really helps.
Yeah.
So when you train in a group, when you have right company around you, you see if for example, in our group, there are triathletes and there are runners. So a runner, when he's seeing that a triathlete is on a different plan given by a coach and runner has a different plan, and then he gets motivated. Oh, I have been running. Now I need to go from a run plan to a tri plan.
Yeah.
So they shift. So it helps. So in fact, I would say that peer pressure, it motivates the other person.
Yeah, definitely. Even when you're doing simple workouts at home, it's good to do it with someone because
Yes.
it keeps you in check
Yeah.
in a way, So, as you said, physical endurance is very important. Mental endurance is also very important.
True.
For physical endurance, there are multiple factors I know, which start right from workouts, which you do. And a very major part is having a disciplined nutrition plan also, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping your food in check. So what is that like? Can you talk about the nutritional
Yeah.
part
So
of it?
mentally, basically, is that whatever work pressures you have, you
Yeah.
need to keep them in check.
Mm.
You need to sleep well. Ideally, for me, I need to sleep for at least 7.5 to 8 hours every day before I do a workout.
Okay.
There are people who sleep less, but everyone's body is different. But ideally, I would say that 7 to 8 hours of sleep is required when you are doing a endurance sport. Because see, a normal person, for example, a person who is not into exercises, he might sleep for 5 hours, but he is not exerting so much,
Right.
doing an endurance activity. So for him, the 5-6 hours sleep would be sufficient. But for a triathlete who is like training 6 days, maybe all put together around 15-20 hours of workout in a week, then he needs to sleep well. So sleep is one of the most important things which I always tell my friends, or I personally do it. Second thing is that eating habits. You need to eat right. For example, in my case, I have only 3 meals. I have a breakfast, I have a lunch, I have dinner. I don't take sugar.
Okay.
I try to cut down on my sweets. Then your carb loading has to be right. Your protein has to be right. So these things, for me, ideal is like just have 3 proper meals. Have your food, your nutrition has to be right. There has to be right amount of protein, right amount of carbohydrates. So all these things that you have to take care.
But you need external help to decide
Yeah, so
meal plans and all.
Yeah, so there are a lot of nutritionists who guide people. So there are quite a few good nutritionists in Pune as well.
Okay.
Who people go there, they give you a nice diet plan. You can follow it.
Right.
So all these avenues are open now for any triathlete who gets into it. He has a coach, he has a nutritionist. So all these things also help.
Okay. So you were telling me a very interesting story about your Dubai triathlon. So why don't you share that also? Because
Okay,
that was
so
crazy.
yeah, it was a crazy thing. So this was in 2018. So I told you I did my first half Ironman. 17, I told you I did a race in Goa, Olympic
Right.
distance. In 2018, I decided to register for my first half Ironman in Dubai.
Okay.
So we had one more startup that time. It was the name of Floodal Sports. So we design and manufacture very unique medal hangers. You can check the website www.
Design what?
So when you run a marathon, or when you do a swim, or when you do a triathlon, any marathon you run, you get a medal. A finisher gets a medal.
Okay. the
So
medal.
what do you do with that medal?
Right.
Either you hang it on a nail or you keep it in a drawer.
Yeah.
So we have designed very unique medal hangers,
Wow.
and the name of our company is Floodal Sports.
I'll check with that.
So I was saying the website is floodalsports.com. You can check the designs on that. So what had happened? So that was a time when before this I had also registered for Tata Mumbai Marathon. So in 2018.
Okay.
So this company we started in 2017 and we got a very good response. We participated in Satara Marathon, in Pune some marathons. So we decided to take a stall at Tata Mumbai Marathon. And it was a very expensive stall. But we got phenomenal response. And my training was going perfectly. My race was so Tata Marathon happens on 3rd Sunday of Jan. And Dubai was immediately after that. Immediately 2 weeks after that. So I thought it would be a good practice run for me. And in that expo, so we had taken a stall in the Tata Mumbai Marathon expo for our company Floodal Sports. So we had displayed all our different running, cycling, all different medal hangers. So we had very different designs. So our stall, like a lot of people visiting our stall, and we were so busy. So there was no one was caring about what he's eating, what he's not. We're just selling the middle hangers.
Yeah.
We were very happy doing it.
Danda.
So on the last day, the expo was for 3 days. So the last day of the expo, we were so busy, and in the evening, I don't know what sandwich or something which I ate. So in the expo itself, I was not feeling well. So there were customers. So I told my partner, my brother, that you please handle. I need to take a toilet break. So once, twice, I said like something as like this has never happened to me.
Yeah.
So we finished the expo. We did phenomenal sales for 3 days.
Right.
Then we went back to the hotel, and my brother told me that you take a tablet or something, and why don't you rest, because 3 days has been quite exerting, and you have a race after 3 weeks. It's not necessary. I had registered for a half marathon in Mumbai. I said no, already I paid, because in India we are very like, if you are paid, you need to do it. you can't just let it go.
Yeah.
So I said no, I will take it easy. I was planning to finish in 2 hours 5 minutes. So I said okay, let me go easy. So somehow I finished the race in around 2 hours 18 minutes, the half marathon. That was Sunday. Monday I came to Pune, and then Tuesday I was feeling really sick. So Tuesday night I had a bout of vomiting and a bout of diarrhea, and I was going back and forth in and out of toilet. So I don't remember what time, around 2:33 I got kind of headache, and I just I fell in the toilet.
Oh shit.
I fell straight on my face.
Shit.
I had broken my I was lying in a pool of blood. My wife, luckily I didn't lock the door. So she came in. I just told her, I'm okay. You just take me to Dinanath hospital.
Yes.
And there's a neighbor, you call him, and they just took me to the hospital. So 4:30 a.m. I was at the hospital. So they did MRI, CT scan, everything. And Wednesday morning, I checked in at Dinanath. Nowadays I call it checked in at Dinanath. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 nights, 4 days, I was at the hospital. They did all the scans. They put a wrap around my neck band, because I had contusion since C6, C7. I had broken my nose. My tooth was broken. So I was in a very, very bad shape. And the thing is that like it was a kind of thing, because I knew Mumbai Marathon was not the main race. My main race was in Dubai, which was like Wednesday was admitted. It was just the Sunday after that. And I said, how am I going to do it? Sorry, Friday after that. So Dubai race happens on Friday. So I was like, I said, God, why you did this to me? Because I had trained really hard for this race. I was looking forward to do this race. And the doctor at Dinanath told me that luckily the contusions were there, but there was no major fracture or anything in my backbone. Only I had a nose thing, which was, the doctor said it will recover. And I had a tooth was broken. So again, I went to a doctor and got it fixed. So I asked the doctor at Dinanath, I got discharged on Friday. So I asked him like, what do you suggest? Should I go to Dubai? He said, are you mad? You are recovered, you are fine. There is no major injury as such, but you can't go.
Yeah.
So I got discharged. I was literally crying in the hospital when the wife was next to me. I said, why me? So I said, okay, can't help, because injuries are something which they take you back, but you can't do much about it.
Yeah.
You just have to come over it. So I came home. Saturday I was there. So my friend of mine, he came, he said, you have a lot of coconut water, you will feel better. So Saturday I had a lot of coconut water. I was feeling, because the food poisoning thing had happened, so I took all those IVs and everything. So
all this started because of food poisoning.
Yeah, it started because of food poisoning. I don't know what I ate wrong in Mumbai.
Yeah.
So it was food poisoning that because of that I got that diarrhea and
injury.
I fell in the toilet.
Shit.
So he told me, you have this coconut water, it will be good. So that was Saturday. Sunday I was feeling a little better. Again this friend comes and he tells me, hey Venky, you already bought the flight tickets. You are already registered for the Ironman.
Yeah.
Why don't you just come there?
Yeah.
You don't race, but come see how we are racing. Take the experience. You'll just enjoy. I said, let me check. So my wife was there. I asked her, hey, can I go? She said, no ways.
Permission.
So then I said, please. I have booked flight tickets. I'm going to stay with my cousin. Luckily, my cousin was staying in Dubai.
Okay.
And I don't have to stay in a hotel. Let me just go. So somehow I could manage and convince her. Monday, I decided I will do a small run. Because see, thing is that once you are out of that food poisoning thing, then and luckily for me, the injury was not painful.
Okay.
I fell on my face. Okay, the tooth was broken, but that is something which can be fixed.
Yeah.
I had a little neck pain in my neck, but it was tolerable. So I did a small 3K, 4K run. I was feeling very exhausted. But I said, okay, let me do it. Then Tuesday, I did a small 5K ride close to my, very close to my housing complex. So then I told my wife, please allow me. So she said, no, you're not going to take your bike. I said, come on. Then I just told her one thing. I care about you, about my daughters. So don't worry. I am going to take my bike only and only if I'm going to feel good, I'm going to participate. Then Tuesday night, I take my flight to Dubai. Wednesday morning, I'm there. Wednesday, in my cousin's apartment, there was a swimming pool. So I decided to go and swim there.
Okay.
So Wednesday, it was so cold. So Dubai, if you have been there, Jan, Feb this is a month where it is not like summer and very hot and warm Dubai. It's a very cold Dubai, very cool weather. So I did a swim. Wednesday, I couldn't do a swim. So Thursday, I did a swim in the swimming pool. And then next day, I decided I'm feeling better. So let me rack the bike.
Okay.
And believe me, once you go in that atmosphere, I decided the cutoff was 8.5 hours. So I decided I had trained to do in 6.5, 7 hours. I said, let's go for it. It's my first race. I come all the way to Dubai. So I had trained to finish the race in 6.5 hours.
Okay.
So I said, forget it. The cutoff was 8.5 hours.
Okay.
So I said, okay, if you are trained to do it in 6.5 hours, but what you have gone through before this race, the most important thing was to finish the race.
Right.
So believe me, like I went into it's a sea swim. I went into the swim. I finished my 1.9 kilometers swim.
Okay.
Then I went on the bike. I said, let me take it very easy. Like normally I finish my bike in 3 hours, 20 minutes or 3 hours, 15 minutes. I did it very easy. I was enjoying 3 hours, 45 minutes. I took for the bike and then just enjoyed my run. Because of the injury, I was not very sure how my back is going to hold during my bike ride. But that's the reason I went very slow. And as I said, once I finished my bike, I said, Venky, now you're going to finish your first half Ironman. And the cutoff was 8.5 hours. And I was so happy I could finish the race in 8 hours. So that was one of a kind experience which I will never ever forget in my life.
Wow. That's crazy, but you were diagnosed with.
So I always say like one Friday discharge from Diranath and next Friday I do a half Ironman. So it was crazy, honestly crazy. It was thanks to my family. Luckily, I was not that badly injured. Then I took little bit good nutrition during that whole week. And the most important thing, I had trained really 3 months before getting into the race, before this injury after my food poisoning in Mumbai. I had trained really well.
Right.
So that training, that muscle memory, it also
you
helps.
always fall back on that.
Yeah, it helps you.
It helps you a lot. Wow. I mean, you need a different kind of drive to, actually take
So I tell you, because any endurance sport, physical is one thing, but mental, it's a lot of, you have to be mentally very, very strong. The moment, I know good swimmers who just choke in the swim. Like they go into the water, they had trained well in the swimming pools, but maybe they didn't do a practice swim. Because it's open water, it's a sea. So once you're going there are waves. It's not the way how you're swimming in a swimming pool. So there you have to be mentally very strong. You said you have to trust your training.
Yeah.
You have to trust your training. You have to be mentally very, very strong. You should say, I'm not going to give up. That is the key.
Proving it to yourself also.
Proving it to yourself. And again, as I told you, I told my wife that the moment I feel I'm not feeling good, my back is going to give up, or I'm having a pain because of my fall, I'm going to quit. So you should also know, in case, like for example, in my case, I would not advise, because the doctor said it's up to you. If you ask me, it's better not to race, because doctor will not take a chance, right?
Risk, yeah.
But at the same time, you have to listen to your body. The key is you need to listen. You should know if you're okay. And if you feel you're not good, you need to stop.
Yeah. And often it becomes difficult for athletes in the zone.
Yes, yes.
They don't know when to stop.
Yes, you
So
have
they
to
keep
stop.
pushing.
You need to listen to your body. That is the key. That is very, very important.
Nice. So when you were, so now looking back on it, do you think that was a good decision you made?
Of course.
Yeah.
I got an article in Hindustan Times. I don't know, the reporter called me and said, I'm going to write about you.
Nice.
So I was,
Exciting.
and there is a footnote from the doctor, like disclaimer kind of thing. when he took his interview, like what Venkatesh did was something extraordinary, but I will not advise others to do it.
Yeah. Very interesting story.
Thanks.
So one more thing I've noticed with triathletes is that they really have a lot of fancy equipment, I would say, during the race which they use, and they have all these straps on and everything. But how important and what is the most necessary equipment you require in an Ironman?
Okay, so as I told you, Ironman consists of 3 sports:
Yes.
swim, bike, and run. So in a triathlon, you need a tri-suit, which is very important, which you can use during your swim, during your ride, and during your run.
Okay.
Swim goggles, swim cap for swimming. If it's a cold weather swim, you need a wetsuit. So these 4 things you require during a swim. You need to have a bicycle. So as I told you, you need a TT bike or a road bike. Ideally a TT bike where you are more aerodynamic, you can get a better speed when you're riding on a TT bike, or a road bike. A difference between a TT and a road bike is that TT bike, the gears are at a different place and braking at a different place. And a road bike, both are at one place.
So you said TT bike is where you...
Yeah, where you...
Hands are like an arrow.
Yeah, and then you change the gears from there.
Okay.
And then you have brakes which are near your hand.
Okay.
So you have to take off your hand and
moving.
put a brake. But during Ironman, it's all cordoned off race. So there is no traffic, there are no vehicles. You are just the cyclists are on the course. So it's quite safe.
Right.
But to train in India, you have to be very careful. So normally you train on a trainer. So trainer is one more added thing. A cycle is required. Then shoes which are separate, which are cycling shoes, which has cleats where your legs get locked. So because of that, you get motion, like both push and pull happens. Because if you wear shoes, then it will be only push. When you use cycling shoes with cleats, you get push and pull moment. Then for running, you need running shoes. For cycling, again, you need a helmet, you need sunglasses. So all put together, honestly speaking, it is an expensive sport. It's not a cheap sport.
Yeah, I was getting to that. So, like, if there's a lot of investment also required.
There's a lot of investment. Apart from that, to participate in an Ironman race is also not very cheap.
Or
The
to
minimum
register yourself.
entry for registration for Ironman is around $600,
Okay.
which is around 65 to 70,000 rupees, 600, 700, depending on which tier you get into. Apart from that, your flight tickets, your hotel stay.
Yeah.
So all put together, this is a sport which I would say either you should be sponsored or you should be rich enough to participate in these events, or you should be very, very passionate.
Yeah,
Maybe that
that's-
should be your passion, and for that passion, you are ready to spend money.
People are doing it. So
Yeah, people are doing it. It's catching up big time.
Yeah, in India.
Catching
at
up
least.
big time.
So when you have to recover, when you have to rest after the race is done, a triathlon, what do you usually, what activities do you do to recharge your head, to rejuvenate?
No, so normally for me, I told you the places where all I raced.
Yeah.
So all of these places are exotic places like
Yeah.
Port Elizabeth or Taupo or Cancun, Cozumel. So what I normally do, like for example, I did Hamburg. Then post race, you need to take your bike back to your hotel. The next day, you need to put your bike back in the bike bag. You need to get all your clothes in place. And then I usually like to travel. So after the race, maybe if in Europe, maybe you can go. Like for example, after my Hamburg, I went to south of Italy.
Oh, nice.
So I meet friends and we travel together. So that is a very interesting thing about Ironman. You get to see different countries.
Yeah.
So post races, you have soreness. That is part, because after you're doing a 14-15 hour workout, you get soreness. You have soreness, but
Definitely.
you recover within a day or two.
Okay.
So that is, but the biggest thing is that you have that finisher medal in your hand,
Yeah.
that joy. After the race, you don't get sleep at all. Even you have done a 14, 15-hour workout.
Yeah.
For me, and I would say for most of the triathletes, no one can go to bed that night after the race.
It must take time for
Yes,
the adrenaline
yes.
to wear out.
Yes,
and everything,
exactly.
right? So, yeah. So you'd like to travel after?
Yeah. After the race, you need to travel, you need to enjoy a party.
Yeah.
Then you party for 3-4 weeks, then again get back to training.
Get back into training. So when you're training now, right? At the moment, do you always have a goal? Like, for example, there's a triathlon coming on so and so date, so that is why I'm training right now. Or is it because you enjoy that exercise, so you just do engage in that?
Okay, so honestly for me to tell you is that if you see my racing thing, I had done one full Ironman every year.
Okay.
So 2018 I did one, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This year also I did. I couldn't complete that race. I had an injury.
Okay.
It's a story which maybe I can share it again after this segment. So every year I do one race. So the thing is that when you're doing one race every year, you need to keep training.
Yeah.
So honestly for me, I love training.
Yeah.
I feel like if I don't work out for 6 days a week, I don't get a good sleep in the night.
Yeah.
So it has become part of my lifestyle.
Hmm.
So it's part of my lifestyle. The thing what happens when your race comes closer, so those like say 4 months, you need to increase your mileage. You need to increase training is the same, but the distance is what you do. Otherwise, those distances will go up during your race. You need to build it up.
Right.
So normally we call it that I am on a maintenance plan throughout the year, and before the race, 4 months before the race, I up it, and then I get into the race practice, race training.
So it almost takes up one entire year, like, of watching.
3 months, 4 months before the race, I start building it.
That's when it like.
The distances, the mileages start going up.
That's okay.
But otherwise, throughout the year, we keep training.
Yeah, you have to stay consistent.
Just like today
to
also, I
stay in
did a
the
10K run in the morning.
Wow.
So you need to do it. It's a process.
Yeah. Nice. So when you don't work out, do you feel restless and like, what do you do?
I work out 6 days a week. I have my 2 drinks of whiskey 4 days a week.
Very important.
And I have my 3 meals.
Okay.
And I sleep for 8 hours. This is my mantra.
Okay, that's. Yeah, do what you want to do, but.
Do what you want to do. Try to be fit.
Yeah.
And enjoy what you're doing. The most important thing, which
importantly.
the day I start feeling that no, I don't want to train, I want to start playing a golf or maybe pick up another sport like tennis, I might shift. But since 2018 till 23, I'm really enjoying it. Next year also I registered for a race.
Wow.
So thing is that I look forward to do one race a year, and I like to do this activity.
Where are you going next year?
Next year, so I told you I didn't finish one race. That was in, it was again a very beautiful destination. It was in Brazil,
Wow.
in Florianopolis.
Okay.
So it was in May this year. So unfortunately, before getting into the race, I met with an accident, a car accident. I had in that car accident, there was a nasty thing which happened. I had a fall on the road. I had an injury which aggravated just getting into the race. So I was in Florianopolis. I had to go to a physio. I had to get a needling treatment done the day before the race. And unfortunately, the race day was also very tough. It was like 16 degrees, 15 degrees, raining throughout the day. The course was not easy. The water was choppy. So I finished my swim. Then I went on my bike. Unfortunately, after the swim, it was so cold and like, I don't know, I had pain also in my lower back. So I was not pushing on the bike. Actually, bike is my strongest. So there was an intermittent cutoff at 132 kilometers. So I did 3.8 swim, and I was, so the 10 hour 30 minute was the cutoff. But unfortunately, I missed out on the intermediate cutoff. So intermediate cutoff I missed on. So 132 kilometers, they asked me to stop the bike. And then they said, sorry, you are 7 or 8 minutes late.
Oh no.
So they took off my bike. Otherwise, I told them like because you go one after other at the swim. So I told them like I went like 10 minutes late inside the water, and as per my Garmin, because Garmin's a watch where I said I had like almost 2 hours to finish the remaining 40-45 kilometer distance. But they said no, it is the time at gun time, and this cutoff time at 3:52 p.m. was final. Whatever time you enter the water. So I couldn't complete my bike. And
So how did the 10-minute delay happen? Or
no, so normally as I told you earlier, for swim and bike there is 10 or 30 minutes cutoff.
okay.
The total for 180 kilometer cycle and 3.8 swim, there is a 10 or 30 minute cutoff. But in very few races, not in all races, there is an intermediate cutoff.
Okay.
So this intermediate cutoff was like as per the city rules, the road traffic rules, it was at 3 hour 52 minutes. 3 p.m. 3:52 p.m.
Right.
And I was there at 4 p.m.
Oh.
I was 8 minutes late at that cutoff, 132 kilometer cutoff. So they asked me to dismount and they said you can't continue the race. So it was quite unfortunate. So again, as I told you, you should take success and failure
Yeah.
are part of a sportsman. So I had an injury. If you ask me, didn't you train well? No. I had trained extremely well. I had put in like more than 800 kilometers mileage getting into the race in a month. So I was following my Garmin, I was checking my workouts. I trained extremely well. But unfortunately, this lower back injury, it cropped up. I don't know what because of the build-up during the event, because the injury didn't heal well. I don't know, but it was extremely painful. Like a week, 4 days in Florianopolis were really bad. Like day before, as I told you, I had to go to a doctor. I asked her to get the needling thing done, get me race ready. But it was to happen that way. And again, the course, the rains, it was raining, it was 16 degrees. I was shivering when I was riding on the bike. It was very, very cold and windy with an elevation of almost like 2,000 meters, if I'm not wrong.
10 meters. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
throughout 180 kilometer distance.
Yeah, because that's another very difficult aspect to deal with, because you are training here in India
Yes.
for a geographical condition which can depend from place to place.
Place
So
to
it
place.
becomes more and more difficult.
Yes, yes. So there are a lot of experience. Like for example, I went to Port Elizabeth
Yeah.
in 2019. So see, I am a very good. So I swim breaststroke by the way, and I'm learning freestyle.
Okay.
I decided to learn a new stroke because all my races are done in freestyle. So in breaststroke. Breaststroke. So in Port Elizabeth, like I love to swim in Goa Sea because we see at Miramar Beach or at near Dona Paula, the waves are there. In India, you can't see like huge waves. So when I went to South Africa, the Port Elizabeth, the waves were like 10 meter, 15 meter in height, and it was scary. So every condition, you're never used to such waves. And the water was choppy. Port Elizabeth is supposed to be the most windiest city in South Africa. So all these conditions, you need to be mentally very, very strong.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like in Port Elizabeth, I told my friend Kaustubh, my coach, that, hey, Kau, I'm not going to do this race. Like it is so choppy. It is so choppy because you just couldn't understand which way you're going when you're inside the waves.
Yeah.
Are you going inside the water or coming outside the water? But again, we did 2 practice swims in the morning. Then once you get acclimatized with those race conditions, then I think you need to do those practice swims because conditions are totally different where you train and where you race. Like in Port Elizabeth, unfortunately, 2 people died during the swim.
During the Ironman.
During the Ironman. Maybe different reasons. One of them got, I think, heart attack and something else happened to the other athlete. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the conditions were very bad. So it depends where you are racing, how the conditions are. You need to be mentally very, very prepared and you should have trained really well to do the race. And success and failure are part of everything. So you can't say that I failed and now I won't do the race again.
Yeah. Wow. So what is the end goal here for you what's the long-term plan with triathlons for you?
For me, next year I'll be completing 50 years.
Okay.
So next year I'm planning to do one race. Hopefully I'm not registered yet, but I will I'm planning to register for the Brazil, which I have not finished. So I'll be completing all continents. Unfortunately, I couldn't complete it this year. So next year I plan to finish all continents. Then again, a couple of friends of mine, they want to do Hamburg with me again.
Wow.
So already I registered. So the cycle will get completed and then I'll do Hamburg, which I already registered for next year.
So
I did
2
18
Ironmans in 1 year next.
Unfortunately, I'll have to do it, which is because this Hamburg thing happened over a drink, and my friend said, Venky, you have to register this with us. And I said, okay, let's go ahead and register. And the one which I told you, Brazil, this I have to do it because it is a unfinished mission, you can say, or
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business. So that I would like to finish.
Nice.
And maybe as long as I'm enjoying triathlons, I think I'll keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Maybe not necessary. Maybe then I will see, because of this all continent things, I can't select a course. Like for example, I would see finally distances are same, but maybe I can select a course which is where I can go for a holiday afterwards.
Yeah.
The course which is more beautiful, where the elevations are less, where the water will be like not choppy. So maybe I can select those races later.
Yeah. But now I can see how it's more of a recreational activity,
Yeah.
you know, rather than competitive.
So once you it's not competitive. So for me, I would like to keep improving my timing. That is my only goal.
Yeah.
And try to be injury free during your training and just keep enjoying as long as you are racing. Enjoy that moment.
Yes. So if there's someone, so what is the best age to actually get into triathlon or like start training?
So see, as I told you, I started doing running and triathlon when I was almost 38, 39. Okay. I started at that age. And most of the people who are into business, they start little late. But now there are people who are in their early 30s who are getting into triathlons. Now there are youngsters. I know youngsters like did I tell you I have this bike store. Yesterday I had a young athlete who was 21 and he wants to do Ironman next year. He wants to buy a TT bike. So as this thing is catching up, again it's expensive sport. He came with his father. He said, no, I want to buy a certain bike, which was costing like 4.5 lakhs. But people are ready to invest.
Yeah.
So again, it is, if you have
good
that...
news for the sport.
Sorry? Yeah, it's a good news for the sport. But again, it's a good news and people should continue doing it. See, I always think it has to be a continuous process. It should not happen that you just want to show off with your friends, just do one race and then again lead, whatever distance you do. Maybe you don't do a full Ironman. You can do a half Ironman, Olympic distance Ironman. But keep training, keep doing it consistently. Keep exercising, try to be fit. That is what I would like to tell everyone.
Yeah.
Important thing is to be fit.
Right.
Lead a healthy lifestyle. Try to avoid taking any tablets or medicines once you are growing older. It's a good thing that youngsters are catching up, but they should try and do it consistently. They should not just do one race and stop.
Yeah. True. And I think in India also, because of certain ambassadors of sport, the concept of fitness is increasing a lot.
Yes.
Started off because of, I think, Virat Kohli.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
Milind
brought
Soman,
in that-
Virat Kohli.
Yeah, Milind Soman also. They brought in this culture of being fit and then engaging in whatever sports activity you have.
Exactly.
So I think it's rubbed off on many youngsters and they're taking exercise very seriously.
That's what I said. Like, maybe you are my daughter's age. When my dad was 49 or 50, I never seen him work out. I never seen him work out throughout. Maybe he might go for a walk or something.
Yeah, same.
But that trend was not there then.
Exactly.
But now if you see even 45, 50, you go to any marathon, you will see a lot of people running marathons.
Yeah.
So this fitness thing with media, with social media, with television, it's catching up. It's a good thing for our country.
Very good.
Definitely.
Cool. I think I've covered most of the topics I wanted to. Is there anything you would want to share? Anything?
Yeah, so because of this, as I told you, I have my business of gensets and compressors.
Yeah.
But again, after doing like Ironmans for last 5-6 years, I decided like let me do something which is close to my heart. I'm passionate about. That's the reason I started a new venture.
Okay.
Just 3 months back.
Okay.
The name of the venture is Headwind.
Okay.
So it's a triathlon store.
Okay. Nice.
So it is one of the most premium triathlon stores in Pune, where we have all the products related to cycling, running, and swimming. We have 3 brands.
Okay.
One is Felt, which is an American brand, Orbia, a Spanish brand, and Basso, Italian brand. Then we have
What's the last one?
Basso.
Basso.
Yeah, they're beautiful, very beautiful handcrafted bicycles.
Okay.
Then road bikes, TT bikes, hybrid bikes, everything are there on display. Then we have got wetsuits, tri-suits, swim caps, everything. You name what you require as bike bag, whatever you need for a triathlon. So this is basically an excellent state-of-art service center.
Wow. Okay.
So this is basically out of passion. This is like, okay, finally, end of the day, you start a venture, you don't do it for charity.
Yeah.
But this is not my bread and butter thing. I have my own genset and compressor business, but it's out of passion, wherein I would like to give back. Like people come, like today also I had a friend who wanted to buy a wetsuit. So I can, what is right wetsuit, what are the right sizing. So this is what, with my experience, if I can help someone, give back. So that is a new venture which I started 3 months back.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And I will visit the store for sure.
Please do visit.
I do like cycling a lot, so
Please do visit.
okay. Then I think let's wrap this up. It's been great having you.
Thank you so
learned
much.
a lot.
Yeah,
Very
thanks a
interesting
lot.
stories.
Yeah.
And I hope you get to finish the Brazil race next
Yes. Thanks for reminding me, because my friends, they always keep telling me, Venky, you're not going to give up. We know you're going to do, but I am like, I registered Hamburg, and then I say, Venky, you say only you want to do 1 race in a year. Why are you going to break your rule? But no, you are the another person who have pushed me. So definitely I'll register it, and I will text you once I register for the race.
We hope you enjoy the video, and please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Legroom channel.